Right, hi guys, Luton here, and today I'm going to show you how to use ZEUS in the editor. Now, I know many of you have recently purchased Arma off of the 60% deal on Steam for the summer sale, and a lot of people are going to want to explore this game, get to grips with the game, and that means going on servers, doing the missions. A great way to get started, of course, is just going to play, doing the campaigns, and also the showcases, which are the fundamental basics. But another thing you can do is use the editor to test and so on. So let's go in here, let's go in on Stratus. So here we are in the editor. Now, of course, you can normally just start by using this mode, and you click and you can place units down on the ground. Okay. Now, we do need to do that to begin with, so I'm actually going to place myself somewhere safe. Let's just go here. So I'm just going to place a general guy down on the ground. That'll be me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place just anywhere, not here, sorry. I'm going to click on this thing right here, this little module. Okay, that's modules. Double click, and then I'm going to ZEUS, module game master, just leave everything as it is, go OK, and then we're going to preview. So what that's doing is that's actually setting ZEUS into the editor. So when we preview, now here's the guy that I placed down. This is me, I'm in the town, and I don't really need to, but I'm just going to move myself away here. And it's always a good idea to get sort of safe in a building or something like this, and then that way, if you're doing some kind of operation you build, you don't need to worry about it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the Y key. That's Y for yellow. And then here we are, we're in ZEUS. So when you're in ZEUS, you can use WASD to move around. Okay, you got Q is up, Z is down. So it's WASD, Q, Z. Okay, and then of course I can also turn using the mouse. I can look up. Well, actually, I can't look up. I can look down. It's annoying that you can't look up, which is irritating. But anyway, so here we are. So I can zoom around. This is a great way to explore the world. And of course, you can turn off all of the UI by pressing the backspace key. And that just removes all of that away. So now I can zoom around. I can explore the world. I can go right down onto the ground. I can fly in the sky. I can look around the whole island. And this is the normal speed. If you hold shift, you will go faster. But I mean, you can see, this is one of the great things about Arma, is that you can just spectate and move around, and you can fly all over the place, you can go anywhere you want to go to. And one of the things that I always love about Arma is that you can be sort of right down on the ground here, moving around these objects, or you can fly right up in the sky and look at everything from way, way, way high and get an overview of the whole island. I mean, the scale is insane. People complain a little bit about the optimization of this game and that it can be a little bit of a low frame rate, but I mean, can you imagine another game having this scale? Look at this. And this is the smaller island, okay? Altus is bigger than this. And to be able to sort of be this high in the sky and then to come flying down, 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 straight back down to where we were, and then look, you know, you just back on the ground with your soldier, and look at the detail on your soldier as well. So, you know, can't really complain. So let's get into actually what we can do with ZEUS. Let's go over here to the airbase. Let's bring it all back up. Also, down the left hand side here is units that you place. You can turn that on and off with E. Okay, and so what we're going to do here is over on the create side. Okay, this is where you select units from. So what I can do here is, this is blue for op for, so you know, this is friendly forces, opposing forces, independent, civilian, and empty vehicles. So you can place down objects, you could get into them. So for example, like if I wanted to place down an object for my guy, okay, I could just place down any object here, civilian's car, I could put that down, and then I could drive it around, okay. It'll be like a live object in the game. Actually, let me just show you that rather than building other stuff first of all. So let's just place down any object, okay. So we'll put down like a little hatchback here, there we go, and then okay, see how I'm turning this object? I'll explain this as well. So what you do to make an object down on the ground, you're going to click it here, you're going to place it on the ground, then once it's on the ground you can move it around by just holding the left mouse and moving that around. So just left mouse, drag, move it wherever you want to. But in order to turn that object, what you need to do is you need to hold shift and then left click and turn, and that enables you to turn the object however you want it to be. You can also move the object up and down. So if I hold Alt and then move it up, you see the object moves up into the air. It's obviously not necessarily a good thing to do. It didn't take any damage there though. The reason you might want to drop objects into the air, okay, is so for example, say I was doing some para-dropping, okay, what I could do is I could take an enemy here, and what I would do is I would first of all put him on the ground and then grab, use Alt, put him up in the sky, alright, and then you will see he will start to para-drop in. And you can do that with any object. You can do it with tanks, you can do it with ammo deployment, all sorts of different excuse me, different things like this, and that will enable you to sort of create a little bit more sort of visual interest. So now we've got our car placed on the ground, we're going to press Y to come back out of ZEUS, and this puts me back into my character. And so you can see here is the car. So I'm going to just run over to the car, and then you can scroll to set as driver, and here we are in the car, and that's an object that you can drive around in. So ZEUS is a really good way. This thing goes pretty fast, by the way. This is a really good way of showcasing different objects to yourself, testing things out in the game, and just having some fun exploring different items and objects in the game. Because normally when you go onto a server, you are limited to what is there. You can't play around with all the different things. Something that people complain about all the time is that, you know, they never get to, say, for example, use the jets in the game. Okay, but you can, within this, you can set a jet for yourself, and you can actually set targets. I'll show you how to do that before the end of this if you want to have some fun, play around. I'm not going to go through the controls of every vehicle, but I will just show how you can get that in and learn to use it. So if we are going to, say, set a mission for ourselves, I'm going to show what I would maybe, you could make like a basic mission for yourself if you wanted to learn how to play. So there's a little house right here. So maybe we could say, okay, there is a camp of, you know, enemy here or something like this. How would we want to deal with that? So first of all, we'd go to the empty objects. We'd scroll down to, you've got objects and structures. So maybe we'll take like an infrastructure or a military structure. So let's take a military structure. So I'm going to scroll down to cargo HQ green. I'm just going to place this object. Okay, there we go. That's a military HQ down on the ground. So that's pretty straightforward. Maybe we'll put like a little cargo net there just to add a little bit of interest. Turn it around, flip it the other way. Okay, so just add a little bit of interest right there. And this is going to be extremely basic. You can add as many objects as you want, and you have seen this on my ZEUS missions. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to add lots. Now, this is the single units tab. So this is where you can place single men. Okay, you can place single guys, you can place single vehicles. So maybe what we would do is, you know, we don't want anything too insane here. Maybe we'd place like an Ifrit. Okay, so have like an Ifrit down on the ground. And then what we want is maybe a squad of guys. We're going to click on the Groups tab, and that Groups tab enables you to place groups of infantry. So then I'm going to go to here, Infantry, or groups of vehicles even, all sorts of different things. I'm going to click a Fire Team, which is a 4-man squad. I'm going to place that Fire Team here on the ground. And that Fire Team is now going to be at this base. By double-clicking the square, or the diamond, above the unit, that enables you to go into that unit's control settings. So here you can set the skill. Usually we set them sort of fairly to max, but you can set it however you want to. And then you will set their formation. So if I set them into, I don't know, a diamond, okay, and then I can set them to their combat mode. This is their current combat mode. It's not what they will stay in. So you can set them to relaxed, but then if they start taking fire or they see an enemy, they will change their status based on whatever is happening. Their speed for moving around, this is if you're going to set them to patrol or whatever. Their general stance as well, so maybe just have stand, and you click OK. And then you'll see that they will react to that and start moving into that diamond pattern. So I'm going to leave these guys at the base, but once they're here, they don't have to stay obviously in this space. That I can move them here into this building. I can move individual guys into the buildings, and they will always sort of meander around a little bit themselves. I could move him up into there, so you know they're kind of holding this base. And then I might take like a sentry team, which is just a 2-man team, place these guys on the ground, and we go in, set their settings, and then what I might do is, when you have a unit selected, you can right click, and when you right click, that tells them to move to that point. If you then were to control and right click, you can set multiple waypoints so that they will move between those waypoints. So these guys will move up to here, 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 they'll go all across there like that. You can then delete those waypoints by left clicking on them. You could also tell them to patrol an area. So what I will do is I can tell them to, okay, if I hold Alt, so holding Alt, I will right click, and then that will set from their original point here. This is a 2-point that they will walk and patrol between. So they will start at this position, they will walk to here, and then they will walk back along that line. You can, and but they won't walk necessarily in a straight line, as you can see. It's just telling them that they have to get between those 2 points. This is the start, this is the finish, and then they'll turn around and come back again. So you can see they will generally try to walk along paths, roads. They're not just going to walk over ground. Vehicles may do, so it changes up a little bit. So that's the control there. So I mean, straight away you can see that we've created a small base here, and then you yourself could try and take on this mission. The only trouble, of course, being in the editor is that you can't necessarily have anybody to help you. But if you made a simple mission, or you maybe took a tank to deal with this, then you could do that very easily. So for example, the only thing as well is I can't actually move myself when I'm in an object right here. So what we could do is we could just place down something like a marshal. So I go here, go empty, then I'm going to go to single units, and then I'm going to scroll up to NATO. I'm going to go to armored, and go to AM7 marshal, place it down on the ground, turn it the way I want, come out of ZEUS, step out of the car. I'm going to go over to that marshal. So we will quickly engage and clear that base, and then I'll show you just the last thing with jets and so on. But you could make complicated missions within the editor. You could do whatever you want to. It's just a great free space where you don't have to worry about other players being involved. It's just for you. And it's a great way, if you have just picked up the game, to have a little look at all the assets that are in Arma. Sorry, Rabbit, I think I just drove over you. It's a great way to sort of get into the game, and as I say, I know loads of people have been picking up this game lately, so this is a great way for you to sort of have a look at everything that there is to offer in Arma, to just have some fun and mess around without worrying too much about negatively impacting other people on a server, because there's nothing more frustrating than coming onto a public server and having people just randomly screw around with the assets because you're trying to play the game. You don't want people wasting vehicles or just generally causing problems. I always love how these things climb hills, unlike, for example, Battlefield, where if you go up an incline that's more than like 10 degrees, it just stops, which is really annoying. If you've just picked up the game, probably wondering how do I switch between third and first person, just enter on the number pad, so you can switch very easily between, and use the scroll wheel on the mouse to select different controls up here, eject, engine off, switch to different seats. So right now I don't have any gun controls from the driver's seat. So what I will do is I'm going to move across to here like this. I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to go to the gunner's seat, and we're going to see what we can see. So I can see that Ifrit over there, and I can zoom in. Oh, hello, looks like we're taking some shots. Yeah, we definitely are. Okay, I'm going to change up on this cannon. Range is 600. I'm going to use page up and page down. These things take quite a beating. Probably should have been using the other. Probably should have been using the other rounds. But anyway, so that's the first target engaged. We can switch over to the machine gun. Now what you'll see below the reticule here, see how it says 639? That's telling me the range of the distance here. So I'm set to about 600 meters here. So I'm looking around for other targets, and I can also switch between thermals by pressing N. So here we are, this has got thermal on. But I don't actually see any other targets right now. I can see sort of various things going around here, and it's probably they're back over the edge of the hillside. I'm looking around here. I'm using plus and minus on the number pad as well to sort of zoom in and out. I don't see any other targets. Now, I'm not going to waste time today going over there, but essentially what I would do at this point is I would probably drive the tank right up over this other ridge, and then I'd start shooting down on those guys, engage, clear it out. Or, we know they don't have any anti-armor, probably just drive over there and wipe them out. But that's just a good little example of a small mission that you could create for yourself if you're brand new to the game and you just want to have a little bit of experience. So we'll just remove all this stuff right now. So one more thing I'm going to show you how to do is a little bit different. Actually, well, there's two versions. One, if you want to make a jet and fly it, you can do exactly like I've done with the tank, but just do it with a jet. And you can do that by going to single units, go to empty, and then go to air, and then place them down here. So you get the wipeout. You can get any helicopters you like. So we've got, for example, providing you've also got the DLC for it. So we've got the Huron, that's one of the new helicopters, the default stuff, so you've got like the different Ghost Hawks, you could fly those, anything you like, you can just place it in here. So we have got this guy right here. Now, rather than take it off though, you can do something else which will enable you to have this. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set some targets just very quickly on the ground here. So let's set some armored targets. Let's set a Varsuk on this hilltop here. And let's set a BTR Kamish with that guy. And then maybe we'll set like an infantry unit here. We'll set an assault squad, which is plenty of guys. We'll just tell them to patrol up and down along there. Right, so we've set a couple of targets. I'm really quickly now going to grab a jet. But instead of placing an empty jet, I'm going to place it live in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Blue 4, single units. I'm going to go to NATO Air, Wipeout. I'm going to place it here, and then once I've placed it, I'm going to Alt and drag it up into the sky. So I'm going to go there, drag it up into the sky. So now that is up in the sky. Oh my god, I've blown it up straight away. Grab it here, throw it up into the sky. Okay, here he is flying around in the sky. So he's already way high in the sky. But you can see it's still got that little blue marker, so I can still click on this guy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on Modules. I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says ZEUS. And then I'm going to go remote control. Once I've got this little remote control thing, I'm going to left click on this guy. And once I can get it, it's always a bit tricky to place it on moving targets. It will now place me into the jet. So now I am remote controlling an AI unit. And I have full control of this jet, just as I would do in the real game. So now let's take out those targets. So we know that they're vaguely down here on one of these ridge lines. I'm not sure exactly where they're at. But I'm going to change to my air-to-ground missiles. I'm flying about 1600 meters. And as I said, I'm not going to go through the controls right now. If you want to look at the controls about how to fly, you can check out some of my other videos. We're targeting on the vehicles down here on the ground. Firing that missile away. That's the tank. Wait for that impact. And he's destroyed. I'm now going to find the other one. Here's the Kamish, locking that as well. Fire a few missiles if you want to. And that is the anti-air, and he's down on the ground. Now I'm going to change up to my Gatling cannon. Now I've got to try and locate these infantry which we put down on the ground, which is quite a tricky thing to do. They'll be moving around. I see them right here. So I've seen them on that target, so now I'm going to move around. If I check my map whilst I'm flying, okay, we can see right here marker. I'm going to put down a marker right there. Actually, I would do. I think that's one thing that you can't do. Oh, you can. It just doesn't show up on the map. So, like, normally when you're in game, there'll be like a little reticule over the marker that I placed right here. But when you're remote controlling an AI, it doesn't do that. You don't actually see it on the map because you're not like it's not for you as a marker. But you can see that when I'm actually in game, that 2.2 kilometers away, it does still light up the target that I've marked. So now I can just sort of fire down on this thing, use any controls that I want to on this. And we can just wipe these guys out. And I get eyes on as I move across here. And it's pretty tricky because these guys are very small on the ground. Oh, there they are, like, off to the right. Right there. So they're actually just in front of the fire. Of course, you wouldn't fly like this in a real game because there's a reasonable likelihood that one of those guys might have an anti-aircraft missile and I would be probably down on the ground. But for the purposes of just flying around here and having a little mess around, it's totally fine. So we just turn back on these guys here, line it up, and there we are. We see that little group there. You actually have to be quite accurate with this thing, which isn't the easiest thing to do. And just creating a little bit of power there, and we clipped most of those guys, maybe one or two survivors. So there we go, guys, that's my little tutorial on ZEUS for today. I hope you have some fun with it. Get in there, try out all of the different assets, check out the boats, maybe make some little missions for yourself, enjoy the scuba diving. There's so many different things you can do with the game, and that's why I love it. Thanks for watching. Drop your thoughts below about this, let me know any Arma videos you'd like me to make, and I will see you next time.